Thanks everyone for joining. I'm going to be walking through
Vou abrir o YouTube então. Ok, já está.
to give a brief overview of what was presented yesterday.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone, and welcome back. So just to welcome you back to the conference and to also to give some context for the ones that were not able to join us yesterday, I will start by going through the agenda of the day, and then I will invite you to register in our platform. So we started yesterday with some activities. We had an action tank on navigating the innovation and entrepreneurial academic journey. And today we will start with a pitching session with some startups or soon-to-be startups that are based on results from research coming from different universities. And then we will have two panels, one in the morning on how to build from lab to market, so how to accelerate innovation, and in the afternoon related with building bridges, so this industry-academia relationship. Before we start, I would invite you to create your profile in the platform that we are using for the conference. So this way, everybody will know who is participating, what are their interests, and will be one way to network and to create new links. So please try to scan the QR code. This will take you to the page and will give you the opportunity to create your profile. So this is the final conference of the Deep Inventhei GI project. The Deep Inventhei GI project is part of the AGI initiative, and our vision in Deep Inventhei GI is to create this critical mass of highly educated innovators and entrepreneurs coming out of our universities that will be a game changer in our local ecosystems. And they will be able to attract new companies, create new companies, develop new products and new businesses. As I said, this is part of the A initiative. So the A initiative funded 65 projects. Deep Inventhei GI and Inventhei GI were two of those projects of this 65 project cohort. And within the A initiative, more than 40,000 students, academic staff, non-academic staff, were trained and introduced to innovation and entrepreneurship. And more than 1,000 startups and scale-ups were supported. Our history in terms of will take us on a long journey. And yesterday we were discussing a little bit about that journey. And I'm going to skip this part. I'm sorry for this. I thought I hidden those slides, but they are still there. Yesterday in the action tank, we had the opportunity to discuss about this journey. And we looked at this journey of the learner's journey from three different perspectives. From the perspective of the academic, to understand what is the importance of innovation and entrepreneurship and how this can be learned and taught in our universities, from the perspective of the researcher, and also from the perspective of the student. And we have some results. So the action tank was quite interesting. We got a lot of ideas, lots of comments, and also lots of questions from the participants. We did an initial exercise to try to organize these ideas and the different journeys. So starting with the student journey, how can they develop these skills, these competencies on innovation and entrepreneurship? what are the different stops that we have in the journey, what are the challenges and the barriers that have to be overcome, and how to address them. And we did similar things, a similar discussion for the researcher, trying to understand what are the activities that can help researchers to build these competencies and how can they use these competencies to create new ventures, to start new projects, to develop new activities. And the same thing for the academic stuff. In the end, and this is work in progress, so we started based on the results of Deep Inventhei GI. We had this action tank yesterday to try to organize the ideas, and we are starting to build this learner's journey with the different rules for the different actors, but there are many intersections there. And this is what we need to explore. And as a result of this conference and of the action tank of yesterday, we will have an initial version of this journey, and I will invite you, all of you, to contribute to the discussion. So you should expect in a couple of days to get an invite to discuss this, to send additional contributions, and to help to shape this learner's journey. And this is the first challenge that you will receive. The second one, can we go back to the initial slide of the conference? The second one is related to the topic of the conference and also to what you received in your gift bag. So if you go inside your gift bag, you will find this. Our conference is under the theme Cultivating Tomorrow's Innovators. So you should take the opportunity, and after the conference, you should go and plant. Plant the seeds, create the innovators of the future. And this is what we will be looking at and discussing during the day, starting with this innovators and entrepreneurs that will come next and that will present their ideas. So be prepared. It's a long day. It will be difficult because there are lots of things and lots of interesting topics that will be introduced, but I think that you will take home a lot of new ideas and valuable inputs. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Professor Gil, for providing an overview of the Deep Inventhei project and the findings of yesterday's sessions. So keeping on our agenda for today, we will start the first session of this morning, which is the pitching session. So this is an opportunity for our participants to present their innovative projects and receive feedback from all of you. So each speaker will have 8 minutes to present and then have 5 minutes for questions and answers. So let's give a warm welcome to the first presenter, João Reis, which will present MedTiles. João, please.
So, good morning everyone. My name is João Reis, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of MedTiles. Before we start, quick question. Do you know this lady? Perhaps no. And what about this one?
Yes.
Any clue, any names? Angelina Jolie, right? Let's go to another one. This gentleman, do you know this one? Perhaps a few Portuguese ones, yes? What about this one? Yeah. Tough one, right? Cristiano Ronaldo, right? The last one, you know this one. I think you get the point, right? So, This one you do, Michelle Obama. What's the main difference between these two groups? One you go when you are well, when you want to read a book, for example, for Michelle Obama, when you are basically partying with your friends at home, seeing a football game, for example, or watching a movie like Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt as well. So you have the full package there in a movie. The main difference between this group and this group, it's you go to these people when you are in need and in seek for help. Okay? Unfortunately, every one of us will have some illness, at least a fever or a major problem in your life. And the main difference is that you go to these ones when you need hope, when you need help, and when you need basically to treat yourself. Okay? And in that very same moment, you always forget about Cristiano Ronaldo, Michelle Obama, and all these people. Okay? This is the people that you care about. Now you know them. They dress the suit, they dress the tools, they dress the mask. And now you know them. Physicians, doctors, healthcare providers, whatever you want to call it, nurses. These are the people that actually, when you are in need, you actually think of and you focus on to seek for help. The same way they dedicate their lives to you, basically, and also each other, because unfortunately doctors also get killed. Okay? That's the same way that we as Meta, we dedicate ourselves to them. So we develop services and data and handle information to facilitate their lives. That's what we care about. Okay? So almost, in the recent studies, almost every clinician should update himself, either by reading guidelines, either by reading studies, clinical trials, to get the best to treat you. And 7 out of 10, they tell in those studies that they are overwhelmed with the amount of information. It's simply too much. With the digital health and digitalization of information, it's simply too much for them to actually read everything, every single possibility that they can have to treat you the best way possible. 75% of them even change their clinical practices quarterly or even monthly. So in the best case scenario, you go to an appointment and they have the best treatment for you. And believe me, they work hard for this. And even 16% of those physicians tell that by reading this and updating, they actually end up in a situation which is life critical. They save patients' life because they adjusted some kind of medicine, some kind of drug, or suggested some kind of treatment for a certain patient. In terms of the market, or how we solve this, using Gen AI, in terms of market, we are telling just alone in the US market, there's a size of 21, roughly 20 billion by 2032. If you join Europe, Asia, and other continents, basically there, this amount can reach up to 100 billion in terms of investment and in terms of market size. 40% can be enhanced, or 40% of most of the working hours of those physicians can be enhanced by generative AI. That's our time focus to actually handle the problem. And actually, it can cut up to 200 billion expenses US alone again. And it's just not expenses, it's working hours of those physicians to focus on patients. Here at MedTiles, how we focus on this? 3 main services. The quite and famous chatbot. We basically have an app available for physicians right now, which focus on asking notes, asking documents, whatever question you want, and also asking curated data that our team of physicians at MedHouse, we have a medical department inside, that actually curate a lot of information for the top specialties in Europe. We have a tutor, which is a tool, scenario-based learning. So you have a script, physicians seek for some sort of answer and information throughout the time. And this is critical because you are in the emergency room and you need to know what to do. Okay, so you kind of need to train these stats. You need to know what to ask, what not to ask, how to speed up the treatment process. That's how by seeking active learning, so by seeking the answers for a certain script, by navigating a certain script, and then obviously in the end have a certain explanation of why it's important to ask for this event, why is it important to ask for blood pressure, why is it important to ask for this and that. Okay, that's why or where exactly the tutor frames, and the generator is all about handling text, handling information, and generating new contents like having a summary of a certain document that is too extensive. For example, guidelines are 100, 150 page long, okay, and come out every 2 years. In this case, you can generate summaries, propose questions to help you navigate the document, or even in the everyday life, they can actually navigate through the patient records. They can make summaries and propose through generative AI, propose patients to clinical trials. So giving actually hope to those patients that are in most need. So the battle of health is not information, it's not data. Physicians should battle diseases and should take care of you. We metals let this with us, we handle data, we handle information, and this is where we should focus on. This is where you should focus, and if there are any VCs here, you should invest on metals, you should invest on physicians, and ultimately, you should invest in yourself. Thank you very much, and we are Meta.
Thank you, João, for your great presentation. Does anyone have a question for João? Kaido?
It is nice to meeting you. We had a small chat here as a warm-up, so thank you for the inspiring presentation. What I'm wondering is so that now in this era of AI technology, what is, let's say, like surging the place from different sectors and the areas, and everybody are working on that. Then what I am thinking about this medical sector is that if, let's say, on the everyday life, AI is using the data available on internet, whatever different, let's say, like literatures, basically open sources, yes. And it gives us answers to our questions. But if you're going to the medical side, then basically, I think that it is not very safe to do the operations using YouTube, yes? So that we should have some kind of knowledge about it, yes? In your case, if you're building up the AI to give the answers to the, let's say, the medical doctors, yes, to help you find the solution for the diseases, the literature amount is huge. But again, that how do you get the connections to the right database so that basically the answers is not coming from some kind of, let's say, like self-learned medical doctors, but there is a, let's say, like research-based. So that how do you connecting these parts? How do you get access to all these, let's say, like research papers, all the, let's say, the books, whatever? So
yes. Very good question. Thank you very much. So 3 main points, but I'll start with the 4. So we first concluded that models like Gemini, GPT-4o, Mistral, okay, we are using them just as answer generators. The implicit knowledge, we don't want it, okay? If you talk to a physician and ask, do you use ChatGPT for your diagnosis? They will say, no. That's ridiculous, okay? So that's the 4th part, okay? And why it is ridiculous? They hallucinate and they are not updated every day. So we decided LLMs or large language models, just semantics, just understanding the answer. The 3 part or the 3 dots that we were talking about is our curated data. So we have a central database that is called PubMed that we can connect to and where we extend these databases. And we have talked with people from PubMed just to really understand if we can do this kind of stuff. And we are only using open access papers. But this is credible. They go there, search for papers, search for clinical trials, and search for studies. And there are a multitude of specialties there. So here in Portugal, we have between, I would say, 15 and 16 specialties most, and they all are there, and they all are updated. So this is the main source of information, and we we only use this information to actually get an answer. Okay. The second one is even if it's something state-of-the-art, top-notch that no one heard about, you can upload your own documentation there. And this is critical because you can issue a guideline for Europe, but it's very different here in Portugal because Racinhas, because Vinho de Porto, because all of this stuff. Okay, perhaps in Sweden is different, perhaps in the UK is different. Although there's a general guideline, you need to adapt basically to your people. That's why I say they need to read a lot because it's not just following a guideline. It's not just taking one day to read 150-page long document and that's it. No, it's a little bit more than that. And secondly, when you go to a conference, when you go to a congress, or when you go to some sort of meeting with doctors, you can actually take notes. Instead of uploading documents, you can actually, in our app, you can take your own notes. Like, okay, I heard that this pharmaceutical or this medicine is new. I can order it, and I can use it in this kind of quantities for this specific situation. And then you can ask basically your documents and your notes all together, everything at once. But we are not, once again, using the knowledge, implicit knowledge of the element. That's very dangerous. And that's where we draw the line initially, like we're not going to do that. That's why we have explored these three options. Curated data that we have in our curated databases, let's call it way, or trusted databases. Secondly, documents. And third, the most fine-grained thing, you can actually write your notes there. And we have also a desktop, so you can also open in your browser, in your computer.
Yes, we were here in Portugal, so I don't know how this medical sector works, yes, but is there so-called like a common worldwide database, or it's like a different region have it's like a different one, so that basically you should have access to, it's like depending on the areas. US have maybe different information packages, so that you should build a connection to, let's say, the different ones.
Yes, the different ones. Yes. So the databases like PubMed, Netscape, they are a little bit more broad, like worldwide. There are smaller ones, for example. It's very handy for doctors to, for example, connect directly to Inventhei, basically, which is our entity that regulates medicine here in Portugal. It's very handy to also connect them because they also release studies and so on. However, there are some papers as well that focus, for example, in Portugal, in Spain, for example, or in the Mediterranean area, for example. There are even papers that focus on China alone or specific regions of Asia because there are specific pathologies there. So we can go for the worldwide databases there. Most probably you have one paper that talks about the very specific things. In Portugal, for example, there's a well-known disease in Azores, which is like small, very tiny, and not very densely populated there. And there's a very well-known disease there that only happens in this place, and you have a lot of papers there. So we can connect to the regional ones. We are not going there, or we are not there yet. We want to scale first in the specialities that we have in our app, and then we go a little bit more fine-grained in each of these ones. Thank you very much.
Anyone else has a question? Last one because we're out of time, sorry. Yes, you can go.
Congrats for the presentation. 10 years ago, I founded a health startup with 2 physicians, and the goal was help pregnants during pregnancy. And the pregnants adopted very well, but it was literally avoided by the physicians. Okay. What I would like to ask you is this unsigned history? Because it was 10 years ago. Will you go into a certain age of physicians, or it's not a problem? How do you see it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, it is all about the age of the physicians. Okay, we are lucky enough that, and me myself, I make part of a non-profit organization mainly for neurological diseases and basically public awareness of this kind of disease, like Parkinson, Alzheimer's, and all these kind of unfortunate diseases there. Yeah, there's a segment for it, for using, obviously, first because it's mostly mobile and it's handy basically because you are in an emergency room and you have a mobile app and it's very easy. Secondly, it uses a chatbot there's a certain age that they really like to read the papers, unload the papers, and have the hurdle, let's call it way, the hurdle, because there's more tools that can actually help out navigating the documents. That's exactly what we do. They like to download it, they like to print it, they like to highlight it. So there's a very common doctor or physician. These younger physicians, they are much more prone, much more aware of technology. They want to use this. Okay. I also feel that this new wave, let's call it wave of physicians, although they are much more aware of this and they use this, they are not they do not commit the same way as the old ones. The old ones are very like, I'm the hero, let's call it way, I am the one that knows everything and no one can question me, okay? And this new kind of generation is a little bit more, okay, I need to study, I need to know this, I need to go to congresses, I need to basically establish myself, and this goes a little bit beyond the internships, or it's not the 3D period, let's call it way, that they have with the job, but they go way beyond that. So they are much more receptive to this one, but it's not an easy market, as you said. So it's very difficult to get someone to rely on this, and actually go out there and make a decision out of this. We try to avoid this path, so we don't want, for now, go for a medical device, because this really impacts or can impact the lives of the patients. But what we do want is basically just help for now to navigate through all the information that is out there. But yeah, there's a segment there.
We have two. Okay, now I'm going to invite the second presenter, Diogo Silva, who will be presenting Genesis, one of the Conception X program projects supported by Phil. Welcome, Diogo. Thank you.
So, good morning everyone. My name is Diogo Silva and I'm here representing Genesis, a safe plug-and-play off-grid hydrogen production system. Did you know that a small boat, a fishing or recreational, emits by hour 30 kilograms of carbon dioxide? In a year, all the recreational and fishing maritime sectors emit around 1.7 million tons of carbon dioxide. And a net zero emissions target for 2050 have been defined, and it is important to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions to the atmosphere. So, alternatively to the diesel and petrol generators, it is important to find clean alternatives. And one of them is hydrogen. Let me show you why hydrogen is the alternative. So, hydrogen has 3 times more energy than the diesel and the petrol. And massive clean hydrogen production is expected to increase in the future and reach maturity level in less than 25 years. This clean hydrogen production is mainly for water electrolysis associated to the aeolic, to the wind, to renewable energy. However, it has a very important disadvantage. Electrolysis requires the production from the water and storage in high pressure tanks. So, the main disadvantage of hydrogen is the fact that it occupies too much space on the boat. It occupies 3 times more space than the diesel and the petrol. Therefore, in small boats, hydrogen tanks are not a solution. But don't worry, I present you Genesis. Genesis is a hydrogen production system with no emissions, no noise, with low maintenance costs. It occupies less space than the hydrogen tanks, and it can occupy as much space as a diesel or petrol engine. It is safer than the hydrogen tanks, and it can be as autonomous as a diesel and petrol engine. So, what is Genesis? Genesis is a safe plug-and-play off-grid hydrogen production system. Genesis aims to electrify all small-size recreational and fishing boats. Let me present you our team. Behind Genesis, we are 4 doctorates in chemical engineering, myself and Alexandre Pinto from FIL, from here, Helder Nunes from Universal H2, and Lucas Marcão from INES. Together, we bring you more than 8 years developing Genesis and developing research hydrogen technologies. This is our market. Our total market, as I said, is the small-scale recreational and fishing boats. Our serviceable market is the European and the United States, focused mainly on the recreational. And then our beachhead market, the first market we will aim, is the boats already running on hydrogen here in Europe. This is a niche market now, but is expected to increase significantly in the near future. But first and foremost, let me show you how Genesis works. To produce our hydrogen, we will use a reactor similar to that one, and we will mix sodium borhydride, a salt very known in the chemical industry, with water in the presence of a nickel-ruthenium catalyst. We produce hydrogen pure in a clean way with considerable lower pressures than the hydrogen tanks, and we don't require any energy inputs, so it can be used off-grid and in remote locations. Also, our nickel-ruthenium catalyst can be reused more than 300 times without losing its activity. And as you see there, sodium borate, a byproduct, is formed. However, this sodium borate is pure thanks to a patent that we developed here in Philp, and it has a very high commercial value. This is sorry, it's not working, but this was a video demonstration. It's PDF, don't worry. But yeah, this was a video demonstration of how Genesis works, but I can show you there, basically. Sorry, it's no problem. To launch our Genesis in the market, this is our roadmap. We are developing laboratory tests on the prototype we built of 1 kilowatt power. Then we will aim for a 50 kilowatts power pilot prototype with the demands that we want for future boats. And we will test this prototype in a boat partner that is already running on hydrogen. And then from the pilot, we will redesign it and manufacture our first commercial pilot. Launch it in the market, we will protect the reactor to avoid any costs. And this is our business model. So our reactor will be sold through our resellers, and the fuel pack containing the catalysts plus the sodium borhydride and the water we will sell through our distributors. This way we reach our boat owners faster. And in Genesis, the circular economy of our products and byproducts is very important. So besides the production of hydrogen, we also have the sodium borates. Both the sodium borates and the sodium borhydride came from a mineral named borax that is obtained in America and in Europe. And our sodium borates will have two alternatives. The first one, as I said in the beginning, it has very high commercial value, so we can sell it in the market. But the other way around is that we are researching and developing the recyclability of the sodium borate so we can regenerate the sodium borhydride. Either way, we are valorizing our products and byproducts. And this is our projected financials. So for the 5th year, we expect to sell 500 reactors and 300,000 fuel packs. Each fuel pack will contain around 2 to 3 kilograms of hydrogen, and with this, we expect a positive cash flow in the end of the 4th year. So to sum up, let me give you some few notes on what is Genesis. Genesis is a hydrogen production system that assures pure hydrogen, clean, it can be used off-grid, it is safe, and even the byproduct that is formed has commercial value, so everything is well controlled. Not the word I wanted. It's missing a slide, sorry. So with this, I'll leave you with a question. Who wants to come on board the Genesis tree? Thank you.
Anyone has a question for Theo?
Yuna, I'm from Ukraine, actually, and I recognize your invention, great invention for safety and defense. Could it be used, for example, for sea drones to protect the actually people? And somewhere else, because in Ukraine, the case that Russian Federation destroyed all electricity infrastructure of Ukraine. We have no electricity now. So,
And thank you for the suggestions.
thank you. Zhytomyr Polytechnical State University is open for propositions, and we have huge alumni of ex-combatants. They are also developing very necessary equipment to protect our lives. So we are very open. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question. Does anyone? Oh, someone.
It's a little technical.
Oh, go for it.
Mira, you produce the steel gaseous gas.
Yes, we produce the hydrogen pure. It is pure because it is the only gas formed inside of our reactor. And if we don't open the reactor, it is stored when it is produced. So it doesn't get waste or anything else.
Have you located into the container, the storage of it?
We don't, the container for
For the gas, produced gas.
no, we don't
hydrogen,
need. We basically produce it inside of the reactor.
Is it-
It serves a container.
Is there a continuous process of producing hydrogen?
No, we are developing the systems. It's a batch process, but we are developing a purge system so it can be continuous. We produce the hydrogen in a very few minutes. So at the moment in the scale-up reactor we developed, it is produced in 4 to 5 minutes. So it is very fast thanks to our catalyst. So we can produce it and then we can purge the interior or inject it more. So we can always have a continuous hydrogen system.
So you jump the loop of having to store it with high pressure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Leo, for your presentation. Now we move forward to our third presenter. So I will invite Joana Loureiro, who will be presenting FT Nanoite AD, another one of the Conception X program projects supported by Phil. Welcome, Joana.
Thank you. Well, good morning all. My name is Joana Loureiro and I'm here to present the FT Nano AD project. I'm calling project because we are creating the startup. We are not, one in 3 of us will develop one neurological disease. And it was recognized by the WHO, the World Health Organization, that we will have a neurological disorder. It's one of the main diseases that you could develop in your health. Why? Because the life expectancy is increasing all over the years. And with that, the neurological disease will appear, unfortunately. So, and what are the neurological diseases? Maybe most of you know, but just to remind you, it's rare disease, neurological disease, such as the Alzheimer's disease. And, I think it's not, okay. And that kind of disease is increasing 40% in the last 30 years, which is a huge number, which leads that the neurological disease are the second cause of death in the world. And in 2021, we don't have most recent results, but in 2021, 216 medicines and 29 different vaccines were developed to target neurological disease. But unfortunately, most of them fail in the clinical trials. And we try to understand why. And the problem is that drugs don't have the capacity to reach the brain and cross the blood-brain barrier, which is a barrier that we have in our brain. So, why that drugs that have been developed do not cross the brain? Because just 2% of the small molecules could cross the brain. And the highest size molecules, which are the biotech molecules that nowadays are very trendy, they are so big that cannot cross that brain. Even they have effect in vitro, and they are very promising in the preclinical studies. When they reach the clinical trials, they will fail. And the big pharmas are not investing in vehicles to transport that drugs to the brain. So, our team brings a solution to that problem. We developed two different nano careers. Imagine that we have a football ball. I'm talking, some of you are engineers and maybe are not familiarized with which are nanoparticles, but imagine good to transport one medicine, but could not be good to transport another one due to physical chemical reasons. So, and what our football ball has special? On the surface of our football ball, we decorate it with two different molecules. Ones that will target our brain, and the other ones that increase the permeability of our blood-brain barrier. So, and what we developed, we already proved that they have a good size to reach the brain. Also, they are stable over 7 months, which is good for the pharma to deliver our product in the pharmacies until the patients take the medicines. We proved that they are non-toxic and could cross the blood-brain barrier in vitro, and we have the in vivo experiments ongoing. Oh, sorry. I can go back. Sorry. And this is under patented process, our technology. But if you remind, I talked about the Alzheimer's disease. I'm going back a little bit for the problem. Alzheimer's disease doesn't have cure because most of the drugs could not reach the brain. And our technology has another thing that is very innovative. One, that molecules that target the brain also have effect in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is caused mainly by the aggregation of one protein. That it's not relevant here, but that protein aggregates and becomes toxic for our neurons. And if you see, our nanoparticles, just the football ball that I told you, could delay the progression of the disease, could retard it in 60%. So, our solution will be the first to the market with dual functionality because it could transport medicines to the brain and treat the Alzheimer's disease. It's biocompatible and it's versatile for the treatment of different pathologies in the brain. The main benefits of our product is that it can transport the drug to the brain, but keep in mind that to have the same effect of the current drugs, we just need a low dose of the same medicine. And why? Because if we take inside our football ball, most of the drug will go directly to the brain and it's not dispersed in all of our body. Our estimated market segment will start in Germany and France, which are big countries and with with high financial support. And we expect that in a few years we'll reach the Europe, which our market will be 7 million people, and we will just start to target DD patients. Then, worldwide, we'll have 35 million patients, and globally, we can increase our market if we use our vehicle to treat the other neurological disorders. If I can compare our product with the others in the market, the main novelty is not the ball by itself, it's the target that our nanoparticles have. And if we compare in the market, we don't have other type of nanoparticles that could target and reach the brain. Our roadmap, we are doing the preclinical experiments. As I told you, we are doing the in vitro and we need more 750 euros to create our spin-off and then try to join another company to develop the preclinical trials until to reach the market in 2013 after the clinical trials. And we have in our roadmap the opportunity to licensing our technology. Our development of our product, it's very expensive, but it's very profitable after the entrance in the market. As a business model, we are developing here in FIOP. Just also to have in mind, we are pure research, we never work in a company. And then we would like to contract a manufacturing organization, then the distribution until to reach the pharmacy and finally the AD patients or the patients with neurological disease. We put that two groups of patients because it will be depending if we're licensing to a company that, for instance, is developing a drug for Parkinson's disease. And of course, if we're licensing our drug to an Alzheimer's, to a company that develops Parkinson's disease drugs, we will reach a different people. Our team is composed by three people with background in chemical engineering and chemistry, and we have a combined research experience of 14 years in development of nanocarriers for biomedical applications. Oh, sorry. As a wrap up, our FT Nano AD ensures high efficiency, and we need just a low dose of drug to have the same effect to treating one patient, and this leads to a high compliance treatment. Thank you. I have another slide. I don't know why it's not coming, but it's just thank you for your attention. So thank you for.
Thank you very much, Joanna, for your presentation. We only have time for one question. Does anyone have a question for Joanna?
Maybe too much help.
Yes.
Yeah, just to won with Big Pharma. Just to won this competition with Big Pharma.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Or at least in my point of view, it should not be a competition. Otherwise, we're not going to start off because it's very competitive. But my question is a little bit on the blood-brain barrier, the BBB that we're talking about. It is only useful for BBB. It's not perhaps applicable for other kind of diseases.
Our particles?
Yeah.
Okay. Regarding the big companies, for sure, this is why we want to licensing, because we know that we cannot reach alone the clinical trials because it's a huge amount of money and we cannot do it. So, regarding your question, this just targets the brain because the molecules that we have on the surface target the brain and not the other organs. Of course, if you ask me, 100% of the football balls goes to the brain, I will telling you no, because some of them will be losing our body, but it's a percentage that is containing between the 10 to 20%. So, but all of the drug will be direct to the brain.
My question is devising a technology that can target other things rather than having. I know the BBB is too small.
At this moment, no. But of course, if we develop other nanocarriers and we modify the surface with other molecules that targeting other tissues, it will be possible. But it will be all other optimization is a completely different thing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Now we move forward to our next presenter. So I will call up to the stage Dina Mustafa, who will be presenting Dina. She's a colleague from Sweden, and she will be presenting now her startup. Welcome, Dina.
Hello, hi everyone. We met yesterday, most of you, but for the ones who didn't meet, well, hello, I'm Dina. And I'll give a little bit of a background story about me. I'm a web developer and designer based in Sweden. I started my journey in